Up next, we have an arcade game that was ported to the Dreamcast, and it's very rare and sought after there. But they did an HD version on the PS3 years ago, and that is Under Defeat HD. So there's a website called Shmups Forum where all the big shmup nerds get together to debate on which shmups are the best ones and which ones are the worst. And every year they do a poll to try to determine what the top 25 best games in the genre are of all time. And I decided to participate in this several years ago, but I realized that a lot of the shmups I played, 10, 12 years ago, I didn't have good memories of. So I've added them back into the backlog to kind of refresh my memory about them. And this is one of those games. And I got the platinum on this in 2013. So I've spent some good time with it, and I had very fond memories of this. Unfortunately, my PS3 from that time period died and I lost all my unlocks, so I have to start from fresh for this video. So this is basically a military shooter, as you can see, and there's two modes to this game. There's New Order mode, which is widescreen and is an arrange mode. And if you're not familiar with what an arrange mode is, it's where they kind of tweak the gameplay and it's almost like a remix of an original arcade game. And that's what you're seeing here. Included is also the arcade mode in its standard Tate view. But you play as a helicopter, and the gimmick of the game is that you can change your angle for which you aim. So basically, as you move to the right, you'll aim to the right. As you move to the left, you'll aim to the left. And when you press the shoot button, it locks you in position. I find that to be a little clunky and I don't really like those mechanics. Luckily, the PS3 version lets you change this to a sort of pseudo twin stick shooter where you move with the left analog stick and you can aim with the right analog stick. And I feel like that makes the game a lot better. As you can see, the game sort of has that polygon Dreamcast look to it, which makes sense because it was originally made during that time period. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite for a shmup. And this has that characteristic look from the early 2000s where everything is just kind of brown. To go along with that, the music is okay, but it's really forgettable, which makes for a package that just doesn't really pop in my memory. It's very bland looking. There are a few good songs in there, especially on the latter levels, but in general, it's a pretty lackluster sort of presentation. I do like that they tried to do something new with this game, but it has some issues. The game has this sort of strange isometric perspective that takes a bit of getting used to, obviously. And I also hate how the stages just sort of drift around as you're moving. It's kind of like trying to hit a moving target when you're also moving, and so is the ground. So that can be strange. It's kind of like three different elements working against you. The bullets are easy to see, but sometimes the enemies will launch these like heat-seeking rockets at you, and they blend in with the scenery. They're gray over like a gray or brown background, and they get me almost every time. And I found that the majority of my deaths were from that. All that being said, I think this is an okay game. My opinion of it from 9 years ago has dropped greatly. I find it to be kind of ugly and clunky, and I don't really like the mechanics of aiming to the left and the right. I think that adds an extra complication into the system that makes the gameplay less fun. I said it had forgettable music and it doesn't really stand out graphically. And I'm still surprised that so many people are so high on this game. I just checked the Shmups Forum rankings as of the time of this video, and this game comes in at number 50 of the greatest shmups of all time. I don't agree with that. I think it's a decent game, but I would not place it that high. So is Under Defeat something you want to play on the PS3? If you're already a well-versed fan of the genre, possibly. I think it's like decent enough. But if you're just getting into shmups, this is not a good spot to start. You need to start something with standard shmup mechanics. This tries to turn those on its head and add more complications into it than the game really needs. So I would give Under Defeat a 6 out of 10.